All right, I will call to order the July 15th, 2025 meeting of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, noting that we do have a quorum with 3 members in person. I am remote. I'm sick today, so I'm not going to bring that to everyone in the room and the commission. Next item on the agenda, the disposition of minutes of the July 1st, 2025 meeting.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I have reviewed the minutes from the July 1st, 2025 minutes of the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission meeting. I believe they accurately reflect what occurred during that meeting, and I move for their acceptance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, the prosecutor's recommendations.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we've received a report from the prosecutor indicating in this last period there were 100 violations for a total of $70,700 in penalties. There are 4 quickly worth note that are noteworthy. One is from Terre Haute. It involved an inspection of the club that were found to have violations of scope of permit because there was a purchase of alcohol from a local vendor. This is the 3rd violation. They've agreed to a $1,500 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension of the alcohol permit. The second is from Marion County. It has to do an incident in February where there were gunshots and a fight at the location. Officers investigated, determined there were violations of public nuisance, records of adult entertainers, and smoking. And the parties have agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and 3-day suspension. The third has to do in Indianapolis, again, a Mexican restaurant. On November, there was again a fight, shots fired. On investigation, the police determined there was higher than average number of reports there. Violations were written for public nuisance, and the parties agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty, 3-day suspension of the permit. The last is from a facility in Rockport, Spencer County, involving an investigation to illegal drug activity. On investigation, the officers found there was Schedule I controlled substances. They wrote a violation for public nuisance, self-service, and signage issues. The parties again have agreed to a $1,500 penalty, 3-day suspension with tobacco certificate. I move acceptance of the prosecutor's report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, hearing judge recommendations. There's one on the agenda for today. That's for RR 03-35098, Blackerby's Hangar 5 Restaurant Incorporated.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I heard this matter on May 22nd, 2025. It was a violation that was a show cause hearing because of a failure to appear. They not only failed to appear for a hearing with the prosecutor or communicate in any way, but they failed to appear for the hearing on May 22nd. It involved an issue of false records of the beverage permit being issued and used. I won't go through the details, but the investigation of the officer determined that the permit at that location had expired, had not been renewed, and that in its place a counterfeit permit was altered and modified and placed, indicating that they were in fact authorized to dispense alcohol. The investigation determined other issues regarding the fraudulent activity. Since there was a failure to appear, since there was violation of EX 24002217, including counterfeiting and forgery of application, possession of a counterfeit permit, and determination of reputation and character, among others. I did find that the violation was true in the rule to show cause hearing upon proper notice and notification of the potential for revocation. I recommend revocation of the permit under RR 03-35098 for Blackerby's Hangars 5 Restaurant, Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Consideration of applications. There are 667 renewal applications.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I incorporate by reference this list of 667 applications for renewal. Those have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by staff with authority of the commission. I hereby move for approval of the same pending any needed escrow hearings. Further move for inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we're adding one application. It's for WH 4530139 Flavorful Imports LLC. That would take the total number to 67. Can we take it by consent to add that as a new or transfer application?
Consent.
All right, so then that brings it to 67 newer transfer applications.
And I do incorporate by reference this list of 67 permit applications for a new permit or applications for a change in ownership or location or both for existing permits. Those have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by a commissioner. I hereby move for approval of the same pending a final floor plan approval by the state excise police and an escrow hearing if needed. I further move for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, 58 catering applications.
I further incorporate by reference this list of 58 permit applications for catering, hereby move for approval of the same and for inclusion of this list as well in today's minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 23 direct wine shipper applications.
I incorporate by reference this list of 23 new and renewal direct wine shippers permits, hereby move for approval of the same and move further for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Waivers of fees for letters of extension.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we received a report on the waivers of fees and letters of extension. I move acceptance of that report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Moving on to items for discussion. The first one is RR 4939282. There's also catering permit CT 4932468. This is for Ice Bar and Lounge LLP. It's a renewal with the local board voting 3-0 to deny and consideration of continuation of the extension request. I'll open that matter for discussion.
Yes, this is here in Indianapolis. This business has were expired. They have an extension that runs until today, July the 15th. They did not show for 3 times at the local board. They did appear 1 time, but it was at the wrong time. So the local board did not have a chance to hear information from this business about the renewal. They did submit a CAP, a corrective action plan. But when you don't show at the local board and have a chance to be vetted by the local board about the renewal and a violation that had happened, there's no way to move further with the business of the permit. And I'm going to move that we uphold the denial of the permit for no shows. I will note on that there have been they have been in contact with the ATC about these local board hearings. The dates and locations were given, and also there was a certified letter that was sent to the business about the local board and the information to attend. So with that information, I move that we deny the renewal and the extension for RR 4939282 Ice Bar and Lounge LLP.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I will just note that in Marion County, there are 4 separate boards, and this permit falls on the board for the city of Lawrence. The permit was called 33 minutes into the meeting, so it wasn't even called at the very beginning of the meeting. By the time the permittee appeared, the Lawrence board had long concluded and no longer had a quorum. And so I do find that that was a failure to appear for the meeting for which this permit was set. Any further discussion?
I would just note that that was either the third or the fourth time for a failure to appear.
Yeah, and I think there was adequate notice for the prior hearings as well. And the commission admonished at the last commission meeting when we granted the 2-week extension that continuation of the extension depended on the permittee's ability to appear for the hearing. These are important matters that when you have violations, you go before the local board, you respond on those violations. So I'm concerned with the lack of appearance, lack of accountability, lack of willingness to appear and actively participate in these matters.
Agreed.
With that, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next matter for consideration is DL 8233715 GTBE LLC. This is a renewal with the local board voting 2-1 to deny. I'll open that matter for discussion.
Yes, this comes to us from Vanderburgh County. You will note that this permit was issued some 2 years ago. The permit was up for renewal. Local board did recommend denial. There was an extensive hearing that took place at the local board. The permit did expire on May the 13th of 25. They are operating under an extension, which goes until October 7th of 25. This is a liquor store. And there was some question as to if it had actually opened or if it was still, should be in escrow. There have been documents that have been submitted, and a letter from the chair that indicates that, through records from the Department of Revenue and other issues, it does appear that it has been opened and it did not violate escrow. There is some question about the orange sign, the notice for the business, and if it was properly posted and signed. There was extensive paperwork that was also submitted, exhibits from the local board. I'm not sure that all the commissioners have had a chance to thoroughly review all those. Because of the orange sign issue and the amount of paperwork to be reviewed in this matter, I'm going to move that we reset this for our next full commission meeting, which will be August the 5th of 25. So reschedule for DL 3233715 GTBE LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would just note, I'd like our attorneys to look into the posting. The issues with the posting had a lot to do with construction near the premises. The statute says that the sign has to be posted where it's visible from the largest public thoroughfare or the nearest public thoroughfare in the vicinity of the applicant's location. So do we have anything further explaining, or has the commission ever weighed in on what vicinity of the applicant's location means. I'm also going to, there was a lot put on the orange sign, but I'm going to request the publisher's claim form. That's the second way that local communities are notified of a permit. So just verify that it was adequately published and make that part of the file between now and the next meeting.
I'm also concerned from a legal perspective as to whether 2 years after the fact, the transfer's been approved, whether we can go back essentially 2 years and redecide that issue. I'm not sure we're on solid legal footing to do that, so I would ask that our lawyers also look into that matter.
I agree.
If anybody has anything that they want to submit in writing to the commission, certainly we would welcome that. But now's not the time to be heard on that issue.
So it's been moved and seconded to continue this to August 5th, 2025. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next matter for discussion is RR 49400045, Miami's Garden LLC. This is a renewal with the local board voting 2-1 to deny. I'll open that for discussion.
This also comes to us from here in Indianapolis. This beer, wine, liquor permit, they have had a number of violations, some 4 in the 2 years that they have been open. Some of the violations include a stabbing incident out in the parking lot. Other problems, their battery, public nuisance, sales from original containers, a drug offense, times lawful for consumption, and other issues. I also will note that there may have been a hindrance problem with not destroying evidence or trying to destroy evidence. Because of the issues with the violations, the local board did vote to deny the renewal of this permit. I find no reason to overturn them. So I move that we uphold the denial of the permit for RR 49400045, Miami's Garden LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would just note, prior to one of the sales after hours that was on All-Star Weekend, I think Excise spent several weeks visiting over 200 businesses in Indianapolis, admonishing them on their responsibilities to follow the law, including during All-Star Weekend. So it's really unfortunate that somebody chose to ignore that. Additionally, we have another All-Star Weekend and more events coming up this summer, reminding everybody that Title 7.1 and Title 905 is expected to be complied with during those events. With that, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next permit is RR 4538177 CSA Enterprise Incorporated and catering permit CT 4532485, renewal with the local board voting 3-0 to denial. Following failure to appear, I'll open that matter for discussion.
Yes, this comes to us from Lake County. They did expire on May the 20th of 24. This is a beer, wine, and liquor permit. They also have the catering permit CT 4532485, which is a pending catering permit. They did fail to appear more than 3 times at the local board for the renewal of this permit. And therefore I move that we, deny the renewal of this permit, and the catering permit is not approved. For the permit is, RR 45 38144 CSA Enterprises Inc. And again, the catering is C2 45 32485.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next permit for discussion is RR 4938892 Royal Palace LLC. This matter comes on following 2 failures to appear for escrow hearings and an escrow denial. I'll open that matter for discussion.
Yes, they did not appear for our May 28, 2025 and June 24, 2025 escrow hearings because they did not appear to extend their escrow. Escrow was denied, and now we are denying the permit for the failures to appear on escrow for RR 4938892 Royal Palace LLC. They should not be doing business, and they did expire January 4th of 2025. And do not have a current extension.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next permit for discussion is DL 4932133 Raj Saru Incorporated. This comes on following a denial at local board. The attorney is requesting remand and an extension request. I'll open that for discussion.
Yes, this is a beer and wine grocery store here in Indianapolis. They did expire on April 1st. They do have an extension, which ran through yesterday. They were heard at the local board. And the local board did deny them, but since that time, they have hired counsel. Counsel believes that they have further information, which would be very helpful and can help with some issues that were raised at the local board about truthfulness of disclosure of information. We have allowed this in the past when permittees have hired counsel for cases to be remanded. I am therefore recommending or moving that we allow a remand and an extension for 90 days for DL 4932133 Raj Saru Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I am abstaining on this matter because I have a pending hearing.
All right, I will show one abstention. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
Good job.
Motion carries 3-0 with one abstention. Next matter for consideration is RR 4906959 Pat Enterprises, renewal of a denied permit.
Yes, this is also from Indianapolis. Excuse me, I think on my throat today. This is a technical renewal of a denied permit. This is for purposes of transfer only. This transfer has been approved. It will be immediately moved into the new company name. So what we're doing today is just a technical renewal of this permit for only purpose of transfer. RR 4906959 HAT Enterprises.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next matter for consideration is RR 4927664 El Chispas No. 2 LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. I'll open that for discussion.
Yes, this permittee we heard 2 weeks ago, they're asking for a new business to operate it while it's in the middle of a transfer to that same new business. We asked for new information about this business, who would be operating it. Extensive information was submitted about the new operators, the individual and the business that would be operating it. We have reviewed that information. We have, an issue, that we're trying to clear up, on it. I thought the information that was submitted seemed good and extensive, just one, hopefully more technical issue to clear up. And I think we've contacted their attorney this morning early to, see if we can get that further information. So for this one, I'm gonna recommend that we, grant an extension for 1 week and ask for that issue, hopefully to be worked out within the next week. And that is for RR 49-28664 Elchis Bus Number 2 LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I have just one comment on the documents that were presented. There was a security plan, which I would interpret as a corrective action plan, but a security plan. The second to last indicates that the business will have 32 security cameras that will be monitored throughout the night during each event. And while I'm impressed with the number, my question, perhaps in this 1 week, they can also indicate how long those records will be kept. I don't know if we have an actual rule on that. I don't think we do. But I'm curious, 32 sounds like an awful lot of security cameras. And I realize that that may in and of itself make, limit the length of time that they would keep the records. But with electronics today, and depending upon the kind of security cameras they have installed in the system, I'm curious how long they would keep that. I've asked that when the attorneys talk about, they bring that issue up, just as a point of reference for me.
You did bring up one more good point, which is there's a corrective action plan from the current company, Elchis Bus. And, as noted in the paperwork, but just for the record, the manager will have to abide by that, corrective action plan, while they're operating this new business. That is part of, the extension being granted that they, Elchis Bus is on the record. They're still the owner of the business. They're still responsible if anything happens during this next, week period. Or any extension period, they do need to make sure that they're in full compliance with all of our laws and rules. Very strict compliance. If anything happens, I would be in favor of pulling this extension, and not allowing them to operate in the new, business that it's being transferred to. Could have some problems if there's any issues with operating the business according to the laws and regs of our state. So just keep that in mind, that, very strict compliance and new businesses warned they need to, adhere to the corrective action plans and all the laws and regs of our state.
I agree with that. I think just sort of admonishing El Chispas and the manager coming in. This is strict compliance and the violations will reflect against both El Chispas on any request for renewal and the manager. So they're all operating right now, kind of at their own risk, and it's their responsibility to ensure that strict compliance. Any further discussion?
I said 1 week, and to clarify, that is on our agenda for July 22nd, 2025, to extension until then, and hopefully work out an issue with, the paperwork.
Any further discussion? Was there a second at the beginning of the discussion? Okay.
I did.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next permit for consideration is RR 57-40622, Haw Patch Trading Company LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This is from, Noble County. They did expire April the 10th of 25. They have had one extension that ran through July the 9th. They do not have any violations. And I'm gonna move that we grant a 90-day extension for them and also their catering permit, which is CT 5732352. So 90-day extension for the permittee RR 5740622 Hop Hatch Trading Company LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RH 2926468, Lebanon and Tree City Hotel Associates, LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this is a hotel in Carmel. They did expire on February the 16th of 25. They do have, an extension which ran until May the 28th of 25. They have a letter of authority that runs through today. They do not have any violations. They were, working on their insurance, which, has now been submitted. So they'll be ready to go through their renewal. While they work through that, I move that we grant them a 90-day extension for RH 2926468 Lebanon and Tree City Hotel Associate LLC.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for consideration is RR 2031631, Numera Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this is up in Elkhart. They have had some problems with violations. They had public nuisance. There was shooting. The Elkhart Police Department has visited several times for problems. This business was on pace in from 2022 to 2023. That's our program where excise works with them to try to have them understand the laws and regs and abide by them. I think excise needs to look at them again to see if they need to go back onto pace. They clearly knew what they were doing for that year period. They didn't get any violations, but since they've been off pace, it looks like they've slipped and maybe gone back to old ways, because they are having problems again, some serious problems. I note that they do not have a corrective action plan. They have one violation that they are still working on. I'm gonna move that we allow them to have 2 weeks for an extension. I do want, an extensive correction action plan put into place. And I do want them to settle, the violation or schedule it for a hearing, with our prosecutor. And get an update on that in the next, I said 2 weeks, but our full hearing is in 3 weeks, so that will be, August the 5th of 2025. So grant the extension until August the 5th of 2025, for RR 2031631 Numera Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'm okay with the continuance till August 5th, but I must say I'm really reluctant to go any further than that, given the number of runs that have been directly to this location just in 2024. So I'll be really interested to see what the corrective action plan says, but that may or may not convince me that this is a permit that should be allowed to continue.
I
agree.
agree. I think they worked through the year they were on pace, demonstrating that they know what to do. It's concerning that somehow they slid back into seemingly worse operations after they were off pace. So I'll be interested to see what their corrective action plan includes, how thorough it is, and what their plan is to bring their business into compliance. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for consideration is RR 5421414, Crawfordsville Country Club Incorporated. That also includes catering CT 5430369. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Yes, this permittee did expire on April the 7th of 25. It is beer, wine, liquor permit. It's a 209 type. They do have an extension that ran through July the 6th, and they have a letter of authority which runs through today. They do not have any violations, and they are scheduled for their renewal now for the local board on August the 5th. They had disclosure of interest, which we have recently obtained. That was the holdup on the renewal. I move that we grant a 90-day extension for RR 5421414 Crawfordsville Country Club, Inc.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We have additional permits to add for extension. Those are RR 4937264 317 Barbecue LLC, RC 0508422 AmVets Hartford City Post number 23, and RR 4938086 Mr. D General Construction LLC. Can we take it by consent to add those three to the agenda?
Consent.
I will show those added to the agenda by consent, and I will call RR 4937264 317 Barbecue LLC for discussion.
Yes, this permit is here in Indianapolis. They are on for a second extension. They have some ownership issues that need to be cleared up. They had one violation which dealt with sales to minors and employee permits and other issues. They have an extension that runs through July the 21st. I'm going to grant that we give them a 1-week extension. I want to see the ownership issue cleared up. It was raised at the local board. They've known about this issue for a while. So allow an extension until our next meeting next week, which is July the 22nd. And in that meantime, make sure that they clarify with us the ownership issues. And that is for RR 4937264 317 Barbecue LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, or is there any further discussion on that? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is RC 0508422 AmVets Hartford City Post number 23. I will open that matter for discussion.
Yes, this permittee did expire on March the 26th of 2025. They had an extension until June the 24th. They did have one violation, but it's over 20 years old. They had several missing items with us on their renewal. They have now updated those with us, and they are now on their local board for August the 5th to consider the renewal at that time. So I move that we grant a second 90-day extension for RC 0508422 AmVets Hartford City Post number 23.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4938086, Mr. D General Construction LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request. I will open that for discussion.
This also is from Indianapolis. It's a beer, wine, liquor permit. It did expire on April the 25th of 2025. It has an extension which runs through July 24th. It has had 3 violations. They are all settled. But 3 violations that happened within the past like 14, 15 months. So a lot of violations here within a short period of time. They have not submitted a corrective action plan to us. I definitely would like to see a corrective action plan on how they have changed their operations and are complying with our laws and regs. Things that were noted in the violations, major things were fights, shots outside into the air, hindering investigation, sales to end talks. There's also some issue about the security of this business. I would like that addressed in the corrective action plan. The shots that were fired in the air, it was pointed out by our law enforcement, our excise officers, that these shots came from the security team that they had hired. Ownership indicated that they were firing this security firm, but it later follow-ups, this security team is still in place. So I would like a corrective action plan sent in, addressing what they've done. And I want to give a 1-week extension and reschedule this for our July 22nd, 2025 meeting. And that is my motion for RR 4938086, Mr. D General Construction LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Well, I guess, is there any further discussion?
I have real concerns with the way this business is being run, all the violence that seems to be occurring at that location, as well as what appears to be non-compliance by the owners, or at least the manager, with requests and suggestions by excise, as well as apparently issues with IMPD.
I agree. I think this one, we definitely need the corrective action plan. They seem to be sticking with the same security company and believing that that's going to be the best path forward. And I need to see information on what they're doing, what they've worked with their security company on, what training their security company has had to improve their operations that would make them seem like the best fit to continue. So I agree on all of that. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no.
No,
Motion carries. I think that was a 3-1. Is that right?
correct.
Okay. I will show that passed 3-1. Next on the agenda, inactive files. There are 5 permits to be made inactive that were previously announced at the July 1st, 2025 meeting.
I incorporate by reference these lists of permit applications to be made dead today, July 15, 2025, and hereby move for approval of the same and inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting to be made dead, July 15, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. There are 13 permits to be made inactive at our August 5th, 2025 meeting if we do not receive renewal paperwork on those. So if those are your permits or your client's permits, get those renewals in as soon as possible. Announcements. We have 2 more amended commission dates due to Monday or Tuesday holidays. So make note of those. Unless somebody stops me, I don't see any other items on the agenda for today and would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.